So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, every single year, the Detroit Lions have a few players on their roster that exceed expectations, and for lack of a better term, they break out into their NFL career. Last year it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, last year it was Amani Oruwariye and Jonah Jackson of the offensive line, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown had nearly 1,000 receiving yards as a rookie wide receiver. Amani Oruwariye exploded onto the scene with 6 interceptions, allowing the third lowest QBR in the league when targeted, and Jonah Jackson, in his third year in the NFL, came out and made a Pro Bowl for the first time in his NFL career. And just like last year, the Lions have a few primary candidates that are set for breakout seasons, and today we're going to talk about a few guys that could potentially fit that description. Guys that either because of situation or because of competition or just simply because they have shown enough in the past to warrant them being a breakout candidate this year. We have 4 players today to talk about that are in a good situation and have the ability and the potential to have a breakout season in 2022, far exceeding expectations and becoming a true staple piece of this 2022 Lions roster. So with that being said and all that out of the way, let's get into the 4 players that are set for breakout seasons in 2022. Now, the first player is somebody that I feel like we've been talking about since they entered the NFL, and he just hasn't really exceeded expectations, and really for a lot of people hasn't even met those expectations, and that would be former 3rd overall pick Jeff Okuda. Now, I know everybody's going to go down to the comments and say, okay, but he can't stay healthy, he's not very good, he's slow, whatever. Every single time I mention Jeff Okuda on the channel, it's always, he's a bust, he can't play, he'll never be good in the NFL, and I think that's just simply not true. Now, I'm not going to defend what has already happened. We all know Jeff Okuda's story, right? Came in as the 3rd overall pick in a horrible defensive scheme, in a horrible defensive system that matched him up in his first ever game on an island with Davante Adams. Then his second game, he was on an island with DeAndre Hopkins, but came away with an interception and a nice tackle for loss. On top of that, the rest of his rookie season, he played guys like DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and I mean just played a whole gauntlet of wide receivers. In the first 10 starts of his career, he has played a top 20 or a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber wide receiver in each and every one of those matchups. So Jeff Okuda had his struggles early in his career, but not all of it was on him, right? A small percentage of that was the defensive scheme. A small percentage of that was just simply the matchups that he got dealt with and the matchups he was put on an island with early in his career. But throughout those first 10 games, Jeff Okuda has allowed just 66 yards per game, which isn't great, but isn't horrible by any means. And in those 10 games, Jeff Okuda has 1 interception, 3 passes defended, and 4 tackles for loss. And 4 tackles for loss. And people are going to say, okay, well, what about last year? He didn't play very well in the first game. And to that, I also say that isn't particularly true. Jeff Okuda played 48 defensive snaps for the Lions in week 1 before going down to a season-ending Achilles injury, where on those 48 snaps, he was targeted just 3 times, allowing 2 completions and having 1 pass defended. One of those completions, I believe, was just like a 4 to 5 yard gain on an underneath route that Jeff Okuda in man coverage was just, the guy ran inside, Okuda had outside protection. Okuda made the tackle right as the guy was catching the ball, and he was very tight in coverage. It was just a very well contested catch by the 49ers. And the other catch was the underthrown ball that Jeff Okuda had good coverage on, right? Jeff Okuda on that long Debo play had good coverage. It was just an underthrown football. Jeff Okuda could not adjust with his back turned to the football, and Will Harris made that play a far bigger gain than it actually should have been. Yes, Okuda was at fault. Yeah, Okuda could have tracked the ball and, got a pass defended maybe, but at the end of the day, it's half on him and it's half on just Deebo Samuel being Deebo Samuel, making a great play, and part of it comes to Will Harris not making the tackle. But I say all this to point out that Jeff Okuda has not been as bad as a lot of people will have you believe, and just 1 year after fellow teammate and fellow cornerback Amani Oruwariye exploded into the NFL with 6 interceptions, I believe Jeff Okuda is in a prime position to repeat in a similar story arc. Jeff Okuda is now the number 2 cornerback on the Detroit Lions, right? Amani is very clearly and very obviously the number 1 guy on this football team. He will shadow, he will follow the number 1 receiver all day, every day for Jeff Okuda. Jeff Okuda, meanwhile, will be guarding the number 2 wide receiver, right? Maybe not what you draft him to do as the number 3 overall pick, but being a solid starting boundary cornerback, whether it's the corner 1 or the corner 2, is a valuable position to have. So he will be the number 2 wide receiver, not nearly having as many tough matchups this season as he did in his first 10 games, and Jeff Okuda has both Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn to coach him up. Now, Jeff Okuda has had a few ups and a lot more downs in his NFL career, but the potential is still there. Even dating back to week 1 a season ago, the potential was there. The pass defended was there. The tight coverage was there. Just he had a couple unlucky breaks and had a couple good contested catches that, at the end of the day, if you're a cornerback and you give up a 4-yard reception, a 5-yard reception in tight coverage, you could do a lot worse. If you're Jeff Okuda and you look back to last season and say, okay, I was targeted 3 times, gave up 1 tightly contested catch for 4 yards, 1 pass defended and a diving pass deflection, and 1 ball that, just you got unlucky with, right? It happens. He didn't play that bad. He wasn't a liability in coverage, and his teammates made the plays look a little bit worse than they actually were. Jeff Okuda is now coming back in year 2 under Aaron Glenn and year 2 under Aubrey Pleasant. And he, contrary to what people say, did have a better start to his year than what we saw as a rookie. He did improve despite what some people might tell you in the limited sample size. So Jeff Okuda coming back, if he can stay healthy, and that is the key point, if Jeff Okuda is healthy, he's going into a second year with Aubrey Pleasant and Aaron Glenn as his primary defensive coaches. He's going into year 2 going into year 3 with a better pass rush than he had before, a true cornerback 1 beside him to lock down the number 1, and actually now is finally starting to get some safety help that he never had under Matt Patricia. The only real question I have about Okuda is, will he stay healthy? Because if he's healthy, I think he has a very productive season for the Lions, but if he's not, then it's kind of time to start asking the question whether it's not to move on. But I do think Jeff Okuda, if he is healthy, will be a prime candidate for a breakout scenario. He's in the perfect situation to do so, and he is just a player that works too hard and has too much to gain in order to stop believing in him now. So that being said, Jeff Okuda is the number 1 and the primary player I think is set to have a breakout campaign next season. But he is not the only one. As Levi Onwuzurike, the second-year interior defensive lineman, I also believe is a prime candidate to break out next year. Now, the Lions addressed edge rusher and they addressed the defensive line quite a bit this offseason, right? They drafted Aiden Hutchinson at 2, Josh Pascal at 46, and they have brought in a lot of talent, including Levi, to bolster up the defensive line. And Levi will be competing with quite a few players. Romeo Okwara, Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, Austin Bryant, Josh Pascal, Aleem McNeil, Michael Brockers are all players fighting for spots on the defensive line where only 4 can play at a time. But Levi Onwuzurike, first off, wasn't healthy at all a season ago. Yes, he did play in all 16 games, or played in 16 of the 17 games, but he wasn't healthy, or at least wasn't 100% healthy for any of those games. Playing just 37% of snaps for the team a season ago, totaling 35 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, a quarterback hit, a sack, and 2 passes defended. He didn't play great, but he wasn't healthy during the season at all. This season, this offseason in particular, he got healthy. He got back into playing shape, which he wasn't out of shape last year, but just taking a year off due to COVID, he wasn't 100% at any point during the season. And he's put on, from coaches and from the media, of what they've said, he has put on over 15 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds of muscle and a good weight for the NFL. So Levi Onwuzurike is coming in heavier, he's coming in healthier, he's coming in stronger, and from what the media has said and from what we've seen out of OTAs, he is coming in far more explosive and far more powerful than he ever was at any point in his rookie season. Levi Onwuzurike did not really get a fair chance in year 1 to show and to earn the second round pick that it was spent on him. This year, though, I think it's going to be a different story. He's coming in bigger, coming in stronger, coming in far more explosive, and with that, he's going to be far more disruptive on the defensive line. Now moving over to the offense, this player kind of had his breakout year a season ago, playing over 900 snaps and giving up 0 sacks on the season, and that would be Halapoulivaati Vaitai, who was quietly one of the Detroit Lions, if not the Detroit Lions' best offensive lineman a season ago. As I mentioned, playing over 953 snaps and allowing 0 sacks, he was really, really good for the Detroit Lions a season ago. In a second year under Hank Fairley, he went from being a borderline liability at the tackle position to a Pro Bowl guard at the right guard position. I'm not expecting him to necessarily improve his play because there's not a whole lot better you can do than giving up 0 sacks in just under 1,000 snaps in a season, but I think this is the season that Big V starts to get some recognition for the quality of play that he is putting out there. He is flashy enough in the run game and powerful enough in the run game to maybe get some recognition from his peers, and he is certainly quality enough to start getting recognition from the fan base. And then the last player is also on the defensive side of the football, and that would be a second-year player by the name of Derrick Barnes. Now, Derrick Barnes played just 39% of all defensive snaps for the Lions a season ago, playing 448 snaps exactly. In those snaps, he totaled 67 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 passes defended. He was limited. He was only put in on certain packages and only put on the field in certain situations. But with the departure of Jalen Reeves-Maybin, Derrick Barnes is primed to step into a starting linebacker role, and from what we saw a season ago, Derrick Barnes is ready to play. Yes, he only played 40% of snaps a year ago for the Lions defense, but in those 40 snaps, he was arguably the best linebacker on the team as a rookie. Now he has a second year. Now he has a full year and a full offseason under Kelvin Shepard as the linebackers coach this year to actually help him to develop properly. And with Derrick Barnes, it wasn't really so much of he's ready to take his play to another level, because his play was already at a very high level a season ago. With Derrick Barnes, it's more of now it's time to give him the snaps that he's earned, right? He's talented enough, he's played enough, he's experienced enough. Now it's time to just let him go, let him play, let him on the field, and let him go make some plays for the defense. So with that being said, I think he will get more snaps. I think he will earn more time this season, and I think as soon as the snaps come, the breakout season and the breakout campaign for Derrick Barnes is going to be full steam ahead. But with all that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Those are my 4 breakout candidates to watch in 2022. Again, Jeff Okuda, I really think, is in the best situation to succeed if he can stay healthy and if he can stay on the field. Levi Onwuzurike is getting his first real shot in the NFL while being 100% healthy and at NFL level conditioning, and Derrick Barnes is just simply ready to break out. All he needs is the snaps and all he needs is the time, and we're going to see a top linebacker emerge in Detroit. But with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Let me know your breakout candidates down in the comments below. Are there any guys I didn't mention that you think have a better shot of breaking out and being a star for the Lions this season? Be very curious to you guys think. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.